everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
And today we're talking about Charcuterie, the board game. This is easily one of my favorite things to eat in the world. If I go to a restaurant and I have a charcuterie board, I will likely order it.
Really?
At least the first time. Because they do vary widely.
You're so cultured.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's like to eat cheese and crackers and meat.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that this was called this. Like,
when did you find this out?
You didn't know that's what it was called? Meat and cheese?
Charcuterie?
Yeah.
From Mike DeLisio. He mentioned it one time in a top 10.
Was a cultured cat.
I always just called it a cheese and cracker platter.
You should take back your cultured comment real quick.
Tom?
But
Yeah, no.
I'm willing to. Anyway, this is definitely one of those things that is more like, I'm like, yeah, we eat this every night. Cheese and crackers at our house.
Sure. Yeah.
It's definitely
like that's
a
snack
little
time.
more.
We call it snack time.
But they look pretty, and this game is all about making it look pretty. It's about putting stuff onto a board. I'll show you how to play it. We'll be right back. Each player gets a charcuterie board here. You'll notice there's a line on it. That's because in this game, food can go all the way up to the edge of the board. But if you're playing a 6-player game, it has to stay inside that line. And players will start with some food in the 6-player game, but in most of the games, you're going to have a bunch of objective cards here. I'm showing you the base objectives, but there are some gourmet objectives, and you can mix and match and play with different objectives if you want to. And what's going to happen is each round of the game, players are going to draw a bunch of tiles from the bag. One player is going to draw them. So let's say it's a 4-player game. They're going to draw 12 tiles, and they're going to look at these various tiles that they have here. And then they're going to split them into 4 groups of 3. So maybe I'll put these 3 together, these 3 together, these 3 together, these 3 together. There we go. So I put those together, then the person to my left will choose a stack, then the next person chooses a stack, then the next person, and I am stuck with whatever's left over. At that point, I can rearrange this stuff on my board. You can cover up other tiles as long as you don't cover up 50% of it. Any tiles are considered adjacent if they're touching like that, or even like this, they would be considered adjacent. And you can mix and match as you get new pieces of veggies and fruits and meats and crackers and different kinds of cheeses. And you'll notice on the other side it shows you what type it is. Players have reference cards to show the bread, meat, cheese, veggies, dips, and fruits, the different shapes that are in each of them, and how you're allowed to place the different tiles. So at the end of the game, after you do this a certain number of rounds, depending on how many players are playing, you're then going to move stuff around. Maybe I want that here. Maybe this is here. These two are touching over here. That's in that. Whatever it might be. Because I'm trying to score these objectives. Like, for example, if I'm playing this one, I want to have more cheese than the neighbors. But if I'm playing this one, I want unique cheeses in a group of cheese. So here we have 2 in that group, which is only going to get me 3 points. I need more cheese. Here, I get points for each unique dip on my board. So I have 2, 3. If I get all 4 dips on my board somewhere, then I'm going to get 15 points. Not only that, but each player is going to draw a special recipe at the beginning. You get 2 of these, and you'll pick which one you want to keep. So maybe I want to have, for each group of 3 of the same dip, I get 10 points. Or I'm a vegetarian, and I don't want any meat at all. The less meat I have, the more points I'm going to get. You will add all these points with a scoreboard that is here just at the end of the game. Everyone has one last minute to rearrange their board after the last set of tiles are drawn. And then you compare boards and you score. But really, isn't it about whoever has the best looking board the real winner? Well, not according to the rules. Okay, well, I don't think anyone's going to argue with how the game looks. It looks fantastic.
It does.
In fact, take a look at these pictures of some of these finished plates we've done. But yeah, the pieces, they look good.
It manages to look photorealistic without being too realistic where you're like, I don't want to play with it, that's gross.
I agree,
You know?
I agree. The game runs into a little bit of an issue with a couple of things. There's some crackers and cheeses that could be a little more distinct, but it is incredibly photogenic. It almost seems designed to allow for great pictures, which is a brilliant bit of promotion, if so, because the game has that very much built into its DNA. It's an I Split You Choose game, but it's also like a picture-taking game almost. You want to pull out the phone and snap a quick picture of it at the end.
And I think especially because one of my, I guess, negatives on the game is I don't think placement on your board matters as much as you think it matters. You know, it is very loose. And when you get to the end, you're like, oh, half these goals just have to be on my board anywhere. Okay, fine. Then I'm going to arrange it to look pretty, you know, and then the phone comes out and you take the picture. And so it's scoring-wise, there's a lot of them where it really doesn't matter. But there is still that organizer in me that just wants to make this really pretty.
Well, you can play with more where it does matter, if that bothers you. And also, and I didn't realize this till I don't know if we played it when I taught you guys, but that final one, you have 1 minute. There's a 1 minute limit on the final thing. I guess it's to keep people from just puttering around forever.
Sure.
But depending on how it rolls out, I mean, I didn't need 5 seconds on that last part because it was already done.
You can be messing around with it while you go in between turns. So it's nice, you know. It's one of those weird rules, which is, let's move on and score. You have 1 minute, but in between turns, you can be positioning things. You know what the goals are. It's right there.
Yeah, there's almost no downtime. In fact, this is, and I don't mean to be glib here, but it is a filler game. You know, a game that you eat before the main course. The idea here really is it's I split, you choose. And then put stuff on your tray. That's the game. There's nothing else. You have your secret goal, which you can try to accomplish, although sometimes you get messed over because it comes back to you and you're like, I'm not supposed to eat any fruit. And this last one has a piece of fruit in it. Nothing I can do about that.
Yes, correct.
But I think it's more about the experience and the look, and I think this is one, you were saying you saw this at Target? Yeah, and this seems like the kind of game I would want people to grab at Target and play, and they're like, this isn't that hard. Barnes & Noble. Or you said you saw it at Barnes & Noble.
Yes, I did, yeah.
I'm conflating everything. But this is the kind of game that someone picked it up and played, I'd be like, good. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of game I think I can jump in and teach people very easily, and we have a good time. It's definitely not, and I'm really not trying to make food puns, but it's not the main course. It really isn't.
Right, no.
It's the kind of game you just mess around and have a good time with,
or
for me.
Or just one of those weeknight games, you know, where you just want to do something
snack
fun.
on.
Something to snack on, a little snack for bed, you know.
I'm doing it now.
Look at you go. Look at you go.
I will say this game has a really cool theme, and I think the theme here is doing some seriously heavy lifting. I think a lot of people will gravitate towards the game on the shelf, whatever, because it's a neat, different type of setting. I think some people that would not play this game if the theme was gnomes or dragons or something will play because, ooh, I love charcuterie boards. Oh my goodness, these look good. Let's try it, right? I think that's good. I think the game has 3 main parts when I try to compartmentalize it. It has I split, you choose. It has the positional thing on that board, and then it has scoring at the end. Of those 3 things, I really only liked one quite a bit, and that's I Split, You Choose. I Split, You Choose is an underused mechanism, and I like it a lot in this one. The splitting is fast enough where you're not getting too hung up on analysis paralysis, but there's still interesting things you can try to separate or group together to entice various players. It works well. I think the scoring at the end is a little pedestrian. It's sort of... I'm starting to get to that point where everything sort of is starting to taste the same at the end of the game. It's like, score if these things are here, and then, I don't know, like I always compare it to the calico problem. That's not really the calico problem, but it's this feeling of, here's some scoring. It all ends up feeling like mush a little bit. So I find the scoring to be a little pedestrian. And then the other thing, the board placement, again, you alluded to this a little bit, but it's maybe I take it too seriously. I think it's supposed to be a good bit of levity, and just sort of like, ooh, it's pretty. Take a picture, move on, get off your high horse. But for me, I'm like, does this matter? I have like a small existential crisis when I'm arranging things on the platter here. I'm like, why? Like, I don't care. These grapes don't have to touch, and they still score. But why? What about if? None of this matters. This is all dumb. The limitations seem... I want to color outside the lines because it doesn't matter. So I found that to be kind of weird. I can enjoy this for the I Split You Choose, and the rest is sort of fine.
What would you give it?
I'm coming out on this one at a 6. I think I'm not the target audience at the end of the day, but I agree with you. I think people will gravitate towards this game, and I don't want to dissuade you from that. I think you'll find things in here that you could really enjoy. It's a looker. It's simple to get into, and it features a mechanism that, man, is still underrepresented. So it's a 6 for me.
I'm coming in higher. I'm coming in at a 7.5. As you were talking, it's funny, everything that you like is very pedestrian is what I think speaks to it. I don't love I Split You Choose. I think in I Split You Choose, I have to turn off the brain and not care about winning at all, because I could definitely get down there and AP it and be like, all right, these 4, I want these, but I don't want to show my hand. I don't want it. Okay, what do you want? I mean, I could definitely spend 5 minutes splitting. So I have to turn off and like truly not care if I win this game in order to stomach that mechanism. But I was really engaged. I very much enjoyed the scoring. I think it felt very good, kind of like Point City or like Earth or something like that, where it's like, oh, and points here and points here and points here. I think that was very rewarding, and it just ended up feeling very good and approachable. I think this is a game that I could see being pulled out for family game night. It could be pulled out with people that aren't gamers. It's one that you could take to your Thanksgiving, get together with your family. It's also
take it to
something
like a foodies
right, something
get together. Yeah,
right. You could take it to having a game night at your house and 2 or 3 people show up. You play a quick game of this until you get to the main meal, like you said. So I think that there's a lot of different times that this could be tabled. So for me, it's a 7.5.
I'm also coming in at a 7.5. I agree. The scoring is what it is. I don't know how you make scoring that unique in games anymore. There's a lot of different scoring. But honestly, the theme you said is doing the heavy lifting, and I think it works, right? I'm amused by getting a vegetarian card and saying, I don't want any meat. No, thank you. Yeah. Or the opposite, I don't want vegetables. And it looks pretty, it looks good, and everyone oohs and ahs about it. And also, it's short. And shortness also forgives a lot of things, scoring-wise for me. And I love I Split You Choose. In this game, by the way, I don't know that I would play this with 6. I can go to 6. 6 seems like too many.
Ooh.
But with 4 players, that idea of I will try to make one of these look unappetizing to everybody else, but the one I want, and if it comes back to me, it feels like such a victory.
Yes.
It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
But you have to give up some stuff to do that. You can't put 2 grapes together.
Sure.
Because
we'll take that.
Wow,
someone's
that's really
gonna take
funny.
that.
I definitely just make 4 that I'd be fine. I'd be like, sure, I'd take any of those and make it work. Like, that's my I Split You Choose. It's I'll take any of them. I don't care.
I definitely have like a main one I want and a backup one I want.
Yeah.
Right? And then you do the whole
and then the temptation one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could do that, but it would take me 45 minutes because I have to look at it from all angles and, write a paper, make a spreadsheet about it.
There you go, folks. Charcuterie. A 10 out of 10 for me when it comes to food. And I'm not kidding there. It is one of my favorite foods. But it is a fun board game, too. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
Go eat some charcuterie now.
Yes, please.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. And you can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.